But the only thing that got the U.S. and the U.K., there were 3 of them were British soldiers. 3 of them were British soldiers that were working for they were security, but they were British nationals, that's what they call them. And it was like it took that for the West to get angry because Westerners were killed. Like,
yeah, that was weird. I guess it's racism. It's all about racism.
One of them was Palestinian, the youngest one, 2 of them were 25 actually, but one of the youngest ones was Palestinian.
Yeah, I heard somebody say that. It took like these Westerners to get killed for people to care.
Yeah. So is it filming now?
Yeah. Yes. So I don't know if this time you start over.
Okay.
I'm Chris Ott. This is Megan. Leslie. And we're running the camera to leave a video for posterity about how we feel about the house and the things Megan talked about in that first video. Well, let's just start over. I don't even know our names. Okay, we're starting over. Okay, so I'm Chris Ott, and this is Leslie Walsh, and we are the adult kids of Phyllis and Lynn Ott that moved on to the center in 1967, I guess. And we moved to Myrtle Beach in 66, but then on to the center in 67. And against some advice not to do it, Phyllis and Lynch decided to create a life estate so they could live on the center.
Because that's the only way Elizabeth would let them buy property on
Which
the center.
means that we didn't inherit the house. And then Phyllis and Lynn lived a kind of celebrated life on Lynn's father's money that he had left him, the trust fund and the real estate. And then all that was really given by us to the center because they never gave up anything. But they had it, by law, it would be taken from their kids when we were adult. And that did happen. And, in some cases, maybe we would have been wealthy and it wouldn't have mattered. And in fact, our older half-sisters, Mimi and Betsy, Mimi's 2 girls from a previous marriage, they did marry successful men and with real houses and resources, and they are quite affluent. They're wealthy. They're not rich, but they're wealthy, and they're fine.
They're definitely not the billionaire class.
They're not the billionaire class, but they are definitely what they call wealthy.
Did you know that I didn't even know what AIPAC was until this genocide that's going on?
Well, I was
right
kind
now?
of impressed that you using words like AIPAC. I never really did either.
Well, I know what it is.
I would forget the name. I'd hear it.
It's actually responsible in a lot of ways for this genocide.
Yeah, this genocide, that's what we wanted to add to this video, was compare what's going on with the Baba people and their idea of this land being more important than the people that live on it, and to the genocide that's occurring in Israel right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have my Palestinian scarf on in solidarity.
But I love that. And it goes really well with that pink shirt, actually.
I'm not playing a, poor me card or anything because, nothing I've been through is anything compared to what the Palestinians have been
At least
enduring.
the Baba people didn't kill us.
At least, well...
not yet.
But they
Not
wouldn't,
yet.
if I hadn't had this trailer out in the middle of nowhere, I'd have been probably living in a tent too somewhere. Except...
No, it's true. And I have a friend that I have a rent subsidy. I couldn't afford to live at this point. Both of us just wound up not having resources, land. And then, so it's ironic that the Mayor Center never compensated us, never even wrote a letter saying, I'm sorry that we set it up this way. I mean, a guy visited named Jacob Brillhart, who's editing our dad's book, his memoir. And he has a 2-year-old son. And I would love to say to him, would you take all your money, sell your house, buy an estate, and then disinherit your son? have it so that it goes, that it's a life estate. You leave nothing to your son. Would you do that? Well, nobody would do that. But our parents did.
Okay, but the thing is that Wendy and Buzz still get to live in Jane's
There are
house.
so many ways in which it's unfair.
And okay, so this letter was sent out by Mr. Connor, Buzz
Yeah,
Connor,
yeah.
after everything was, I think it was after we made that video, and it said
Yeah, it was after. It was response to
and
it.
it said, well, the Otts had a contract with Mayor Baba, which was a lie.
No, they didn't have a contract with
He
Mayor
didn't
Baba.
even have anything to do with
Mayor
the
Baba
business
actually
aspect.
advised really them
He
to
just said-
look elsewhere first and consider the future prospects, especially of your children.
But he said if they could, if they want.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But that's not a contract with Mayor Baba.
yeah, but he said that Mayor Baba said that Wendy and
Oh, we're just making
and
up things.
Charles and well, it's in Charles's name actually, but
Yeah.
Wendy and John could stay. And Elizabeth had Jane put it in Charles's name as well, so she could have had them, you know, add our names.
Sure.
But she wouldn't let them because they did ask about that, and she said
they
no.
were.
So
They wanted to do this to
so
us.
yeah, but they did ask Elizabeth if we could add the kids, and she said no for some reason.
Right.
Okay, so anyway, so basically the letter was saying that Mayor Baba didn't care about the Ott kids and only cared about
Oh,
the
that's funny.
Haynes
He didn't
kids.
realize that it was saying that.
And it basically is saying
yeah,
that.
yeah. You looked at it really
And
closely.
I already was not a Baba follower anymore, but that
Yeah.
made me even totally more turned off
Yeah.
to Mayor Baba. I couldn't even see.
Well, I've long said I'm not a Baba follower. Meaning I give Baba the benefit of a doubt, but I don't. The followers in America, at least in Myrtle Beach, at least the ones running the center, and a lot of them around the center, a lot of them around here, are actually quite pleased that we try to. They come to us and they brag about how they're fixing up the studio, and they don't know how hurtful that is. I mean, it would be kind of like if somebody takes your children away. This is a little bit of an extreme example, and then they come to you and they want to tell you how well Harry's doing in first grade.
Yeah, right. And they bulldozed the house, which
They bulldozed the house
makes me really mad because
And they're renovating the studio into
I
something
had
for
paid the
themselves.
taxes I had out of pocket because my mom died. I took care of her. I would have thought they would have let me stay. My son was living there. Anyway, I already told this before, and everybody pretty much knows, but the thing is that there were like 3 perfectly good bathrooms in that house, and I had the plumbing fixed and everything,
Yeah.
and spent money
Everything
on it.
was working at the end.
And I
heat
only
pump.
have 1 bathroom here, which is a hardship, with, and they bulldozed the whole house and perfectly good bathrooms that I had big plumbing jobs done on.
Yeah.
And they just destroyed it.
Oh, bring up the point where they claimed that there wasn't anything they could do legally.
Yeah, they said that the reason
There
is
was,
because of their
actually.
tax-free status.
Yeah.
They couldn't.
I was told
they
that's not
couldn't
true.
do anything good for anyone. Well, I went to a lawyer and he said there was no legal reason for them to do this, but they could because
they
it
could
was
have paid
free.
us a settlement. They have millions of dollars.
Yeah, but he said greed was the only reason for what they did.
Right.
And I have people constantly defending the center, like here
Yeah.
people.
Well, they don't have the information.
But
don't
they
understand. But the
sa-
fact that they would defend it is so grotesque.
But they believe them that about their tax-free status, and that we couldn't live there because of their tax-free status and all this stuff, and it was just what had nothing to do with that, because we did pay. My parents paid taxes the whole time, and then after Mom died, I paid the tax bill because I was going to try to stay and keep that house.
Yes. By the way, I should also add that after I did that first video of you, the center got really, really angry.
Well, they don't want any bad publicity because then they'll make less money or whatever. or they want contributions,
Yeah.
and people donate to
And it
this
got
stuff.
like 500 views, which for the Baba world is like viral. That's funny because real viral is like 100 million views.
Yeah, I know. But like, God is not a realtor, but the only people in the world that think that God is a realtor are Israel,
And the Baba
the
people.
Baba people. But actually, there are Christian Zionists, because some of the churches, especially the evangelical ones, believe that the Jew,
Yeah, they believe that about Israel. So you have this parallel between Israel and the Mayor's Spiritual Center. This incredibly cut off. Like, how could you call that a spiritual center? As a matter of fact, tell that
I
line
have
that
to
Elizabeth
say,
said.
I just want to say, so well, he can speak for himself,
Go
but
ahead.
we're half Jewish,
Right.
so don't think that this is like about anti-Semitism or
No,
not
I don't.
caring about.
No, we're
Jews
talking
or
about
that.
the concept
It's not,
about
it's the concept
about
of
land and God.
and feeling that sense of entitlement.
Right, and then hurting people, that's small compared to the importance of the land, because it's spiritual land. There's no such thing as spiritual land. This, in my opinion, as a philosopher with a master's degree in metaphysics, and I specialize in metaphysics, this idea of spiritual land is just pure superstition.
Except it did make me sad that Israel bombed the third oldest church in the world in Gaza.
But that's different. That's a sacred site for people.
Yeah, I know, where they worship.
Where they worship. But the land, I'm talking about the real estate factor.
Yeah, I'm talking about like cathedrals.
You know, it's kind of like I wanted to do this video because of the stuff that's going on right now in Israel. It's just so. I mean, it's not as horrible as that, but the thinking, the connection between spiritual means spiritual land. They even have to use the word that it's spiritual soil, the center. But what's spiritual about it? You just throw out a family, not a big family, and not only a family, but just a lot of disabled people
and
in that family.
We have kids and grandchildren. We both have a grandchild each.
Yep.
But,
so we have nothing for them.
Mm-hmm. And I saw this really pitiful video that made me cry of some Palestinian home in the West Bank being bulldozed by the Israeli army and the settlers, and they're like holding back the mother who's screaming, and she ties a Palestinian flag to a tree, and they've bulldozed their house, and this little boy, there's like little children, it was their house, and he's like, like crying, like it's made me cry. It was just so sad, and they do that to people all the time. The Israelis do that to Palestinians all the time. Just bulldoze their house, and it's illegal too, because the UN mandate was that they were supposed to stay in their own borders, but they like bulldoze Palestinian homes, and then the Palestinians end up. I talked to a Palestinian guy online, and he said that he was born in a refugee camp. A lot of Palestinians they've been in refugee camps for years and years. In fact, some, UNRWA and those food agencies, they also serve the West Bank refugee camps, because a lot of people have lost their homes and are disenfranchised and have jobless and everything. There are some rich people, even some rich Palestinians in the West Bank, that they made their money by because Bethlehem is in West Bank, so tourists. One guy has made a good, actually made a self-made fortune, having like a store where he sells things to do with Christianity, crucifixes and things like that. But I don't know why I'm talking about that, but just saying that I'm trying not to sound like self-pity, because I try to consider myself more fortunate than others. But
I don't know anybody else in this Baba world that this happened to? Like anything like this?
Nobody.
Nobody. Nobody was just like, it was like set up to take the estate of our family. It was a setup when we were little children. But see, that doesn't make it right. That makes it even sicker. Because we were not signatories to this. We couldn't have understood what was going on. We didn't even know about it until we were older. That a deal had been struck to make Phyllis and Lynn appear like very spiritual people because they lived on the center, which to me is grotesque. I mean, they either were or were not as spiritual or not spiritual as they were. That's not connected.
But the center didn't really like them that much anyway because they were not.
No,
really,
you have done research after Phyllis died, and there's a lot of evidence.
I read her personal journal.
But even letters from Buzz and Wendy that.
And Buzz and Barbara.
They didn't want Phyllis to even have a God Speaks meeting at the center. Tell about that. Just as an example.
I found a letter in the house because I was living there and I had to sort through things, and it was from Barbara Plews and Buzz Connor from 1996 saying, "Dear Phyllis, you cannot have a God Speaks meeting at the center. You can have one at your house, but you can't have it on the center calendar."
But you also couldn't even put it on the center calendar.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
For people to know about it. It was just, and then, yeah, it's just really grotesque. So,
but they didn't really fit in with these like socialites, like the Hayneses and Pattersons.
Yeah, I don't know why, because the Hayneses weren't like from high society.
Well, I mean, Jane was like a movie actress or something.
No, an actress is actually, when you're not a star, it's kind of actually the bottom of society.
Yeah, but for some reason...
Just like an artist, like painters, like Phyllis and Lynn.
Well, for some reason, Lynn and Phyllis didn't fit in with the others. So
with Elizabeth, basically. Because apparently Elizabeth really liked Jane.
But Jane had been wanting them to leave, wanted them to take a buyout.
A weird, creepy jealousy all these years. But in the end, well, you won't. I'm kind of making this up, but in the end, we're going to have. I would rather be us. I really don't. I would not want to be on the other side of this moral dilemma, because, like, I would not want to be an Israeli. I wouldn't want to be Jared Kushner, who says, "Oh, this is really great what's happening in Israel because this is going to open that up for real estate
prime real estate.
Prime real estate.
We need to finish them off."
I'm not jealous of him. I find him to be pitiable, and I find these Baba people to be pitiable.
Morally bankrupt.
Morally bankrupt. But I feel that in hindsight, in legacy, in the future, they're going to look back and go, "Wow, these. Chris was a real philosopher. Anybody who reads my stuff can see that, and." We faced this in a very dignified way, and we were never compensated.
And I refused to leave until it went to court.
And I thought that took a lot out of you. You couldn't even walk for a while because you were so psychically exhausted. You had to have a cane. You told me.
And Pete Nine picked up all the paintings and has them in storage because I didn't want the center to have any paintings.
That's really
They'd already got enough.
I never thought of that, by the way.
But
that's good.
But I didn't want them to have that on top of everything else they have. And but Chris just told me that a girl that works on the center asked Buzz if they were going to put any kind of plaque up saying this was the Ott's studio or the Ott's home, and they said no.
That's right.
And it's really...
It's just mean-spirited.
Yeah.
It's not spirituality. There's nothing spiritual about the people who run the Mayor Spiritual Center, or a lot of the people that gather around that.
And they're all brainwashed, and everybody thinks they're so Buzz
I wanted
Wendy
to say
so
something.
Wonderful.
You gave a good segue to that. As my last time when I filmed you, and I said a little, but I was in the background filming. I referred to it as a cult a couple of times, and somebody objected to that. So you need to remove that. It's not a cult. Now, let me just explain something. It is a cult.
Whenever people say their religion is not a cult, that means it's a cult. Because
Exactly.
I have a friend on Facebook.
That's good.
And he's always he's a blind guy I know from the Commission for the Blind, but he puts, my religion is not a cult. I don't know, it's something like Church of God or something. And
Some
it's
small
like, oh,
sect.
and then I just think, yeah, it's a cult. He
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
even
good.
be having feeling
When
like
they
he
say
has
it's
to
not
say
about
that.
the money, it's about the money.
He wouldn't even feel he had to say that if it
Exactly,
wasn't.
exactly. And they always do say that about Baba. So the Baba thing. So
And he told David,
Yeah.
because my son David called Buzz. He said it didn't make him feel any better, but he gave him a piece of his mind. And he said, and Buzz said, well, I don't appreciate you talking about the center that way.
Who said
And
that?
Buzz
Oh, yeah.
to David. And he said, it's a spiritual, no, he's called
said-
it a religious organization.
which is
And I want, David should have said, what's the religion?
very good. It's what he should have said.
But he didn't think of it.
No.
But
But he thought of it later.
they say they're not a religion, but they're
They're a
tax-free
religious
status is a
organization.
religious
Right,
organi-
they actually have the tax status of a church. So anyway, for people who don't know, the word cult has two meanings. It has its colloquial meaning, which is sort of derogatory, like, but then there's also the academic meaning, which social psychologists use. And there are religions, they're always old and established, and then there are sects, and a sect is like just a small branch of a major religion. So a Methodist or a Presbyterian, those are examples of sects of Christianity. But if you're some new thing, you're not connected to a religion, you're not a sect of one, then you're neither a religion nor a sect, you're what's called a cult. And cults, even religions began as cults, like Christianity began as a cult.
Yeah, and the Baptist religion definitely started as a cult, I was told.
Oh, okay.
And now it's like a bona fide religion.
Right. But the Baba whatever movement, and by the way, Leslie doesn't follow Baba anymore, but I still like Baba. But so it's not about that. We're not putting,
I don't like Baba mostly because Baba didn't like me.
it appears to, exactly,
They say
But- and-
it's a psychological thing. People like people who like them.
100% true. So, and Buzz makes this case that Baba didn't like
Yeah.
any of us.
And like Trump, he likes anybody that likes him. But that's normal.
No, that's so true. And he picks horrible people because they like him. They like work for him. So about that. So I just want to say, it technically it is a cult because it is not the sect of any religion. It's completely something new. It's just following of Meher Baba's teaching, which is not Hindu or Christian or Muslim or Jewish. It tries to sort of encompass parts of all those, but whether it does, that's up to...
And they do creepy rituals like saying these prayers and artis and stuff.
Well, I tend to kind of agree with you. I don't participate in those things, but
I used to be
Yeah.
all, full on.
yeah,
into
this
the
has
whole
really
thing.
kind of pushed us way, way out.
At one time, long ago, it's been years since
Yeah.
I was.
This is not flattering to the burgeoning Baba cult. Not flattering at all. Meher Baba has to be judged on his own merits. I don't know of anything that Meher Baba actually said that one could use to corroborate this view that this was what he wanted. In fact, I have the letter where he's questioning the judgment, but he did leave it to Phyllis. But you know what I feel about that is like, I could say that's proper because, like, let's say I don't agree with what you're doing with David and Ted when they're little, when they're 6 and 8. It's none of my business. Like, I might tell you what I think, but then, like, you shouldn't live in Bufkin Trailer Park or something. But it's none of my business in the end. Like, if you decide, work it out with Bufkin.
And according to Buzz's letter, then after that, that Elizabeth told Baba, we must not have any more life estates in the center.
Because of some mysterious tax status problem, which was, again, a lie.
I was actually hoping that in court they'd say this is some kind, they'd look at the deed and say, this is some kind of sharecropper's deed that isn't even legal anymore.
Oh, that would be great.
You know, because
No, it turns out there really are life estates, but they usually done like to a mother's boyfriend,
and
so
they're
that he
never-
doesn't get the
and
land.
they never families with children never get life estates. Never.
No, that's not exactly. Or if it's a life estate, it's to make sure. Wait a second. That the children get it, and that the see. One woman told me about her mother owned a house, but she had a boyfriend, and he didn't bring anything to the relationship. So she had a thing that when she died, it didn't go to him, and they had some kind of life estate, but so that it would go to the children.
That's a different kind of life estate.
Right.
But then this is a life estate that
Right.
goes
Once
to
she dies, he gets disinherited. But that's a boyfriend. This is the children. Now, the other thing I don't know.
Another thing is a life
sorry.
estate. Even this life estate could have been extended, and everybody says
right.
everybody says there was nothing they could
Yeah,
do,
they're absolutely
and that's
right.
an absolute lie.
Yeah, they do a lot of lying. There's a lot of lying.
Even the neighbor over here said there was nothing anybody could
You know,
do. They had no
parrot it.
choice.
This is where I said in the previous video, I said, in a cult, they always circle the wagons around the cult leaders. That's just what they do, to like create a kind of protection, like a splint, you know, protection. Let's protect against any naysayers. Because that's very cultish. So I just want to say, you know, you're out on this land. This is the best you could do. When that happened, it was a terrible ordeal, even for you to get out on this land. But you have night blindness, and your son David, who plays the guitar for a living, he has to be in town often in the evening. He has night blindness. He has to get driven at night.
But he's renting an apartment.
Yeah, he's renting an apartment in town, but he always has to change what he's doing. And then your other son is not only blind, fully blind,
but mentally ill.
but mentally ill. Actually has what, psychosis?
Yeah,
Psychosis.
and can't drive at all.
He can't drive at all. So,
And I'm like stranded at night. I can't
and then
go
he's even
anywhere.
banned from the closest convenience store.
Yeah, because of his behavior.
Yeah, which is not his fault. And so these are the people that they chose to do this for. They're not seeing it. And this inability to see and to empathize and to sort of stand in our shoes and see how it feels to us. That inability is what I compare to the people of Israel, right? And not just in Israel. There's people in the at least in the United States, there are people and politicians that agree with the Israel over the people being cast out of their homes.
And Trump even has an illegal. Well, he might. I don't know if he stole it from anybody. He has an illegal settlement in Golan Heights in Syria.
Oh. Okay.
You know, they
I
have
didn't know
Israel conquered a part of Syria
Oh.
in the 1968 war,
Oh.
the war that they conquered. That got used to be Egypt used to have control of Gaza, but they got it in the war. And they also got Golan Heights, and Trump has a settlement there.
Yeah, he's a total Zionist.
And then I don't know why I'm getting into politics.
And
but-
Biden even called himself a Zionist.
yeah, but
Although, let's not get into politics
Yeah.
so much.
because I'm not trying to make any stand on politics.
No, it's
I don't
not
even
what
know
we're
why I
talking
brought
about.
that up.
That's right. I just wanted to explain how we felt and make that comparison to current events that are going on. And I think we've done a good job. And this has probably been about 30 minutes or something. So can we stop the camera now?
Yeah, I think I pretty much have said everything I
Said
said.
your piece. And I wanted to do a second where I'm in it, where I'm
Yeah.
not, behind the camera.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for watching, and take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.